Next on NewsMakers, we're at the Kettler Capitals Iceplex at Ballston Common Mall for the march is including people with intellectual and developmental disabilities month proclamation ceremony.
So we honor you in being here today, and we honor you for all that you give back to our community.
This ceremony is our annual Proclamation Day ceremony, wherein Arlington declares the month of March including people with developmental disabilities month.
As a part of the morning's events, awards recognizing extraordinary individuals who support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities were presented. Under the theme of honoring our community's caregivers, recipients of the Community Caregivers Awards were Angela Benitez, Caroline Hottenstein, Brenda Jones, Sandra McLeod, Castilla Facian, and Robert Worth. Recognized with Lifetime Achievement Awards were Nancy Kyle Claffey, Judy and Rusty Garth, and Virginia Martin. And now we begin with remarks from Arlington County Manager Ron Carlee.
It's my honor and privilege to serve as Arlington's County Manager and have the responsibility for providing oversight on a day-to-day basis to the wide range of services that we provide in this community. And one of the things that we know very clearly in Arlington, though, is that government cannot do it by itself. We have to have partners like the Washington Caps and Ballston Common Mall. We have to have partners like the ARC of Northern Virginia. And I want to pay a special tribute to ARC of Northern Virginia for all of their tireless advocacy and services and support for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Please give a hand to ARC of Northern Virginia.
It really does take a whole network of families, professionals. We saw county policymakers have some involvement in this because, we really have a whole spectrum of services that we're offering. It involves a lot of people.
But it's not just all the caregivers, wonderful caregivers and advocates that we have. It is the families themselves that provide the support. As many of you know from previous experiences, I had a member of my family with intellectual and developmental disability as well. He's gone now. He lived well into his 60s, grew up in Alabama as my mother's brother, and he received no institutional support. But he was able to live a full and happy life because of the love that he had from his family.
To have a ceremony like this gives somebody the opportunity to take center stage, to say thank you for treating me with respect, to acknowledge the caregiver who is making it possible for that individual to really live independently. It really is a very important statement.
We have county board members, we have county staff, we have people, who are providing the services, all together in the same place. We only do it once a year, and that makes it special.
A program like this, I think, really is a very visible sign of the county's vision, because we believe each individual is important in the county, and we want to provide services to individuals in a way that gives them the maximum independence and dignity and respect, and really shows that we value an individual.
All right, now we are going to move into the portion of our program where we make our annual awards. We are doing something a little different this year. We have two categories of awards. And the first category are the Lifetime Achievement Awards. And then we have 6 awards for community caregivers. Our first Lifetime Achievement Award is Mrs. Nancy Kyle Claffey. Nancy Claffey founded the Villa Maria Work-Study Center in 1986 to serve persons who were leaving secondary school educational programs at a time when there were very few programs for adults post-school. Villa Maria embraces diversity and teaches acceptance and patience with one another. So I'd like to call Mrs. Claffey to come forward, and Patricia Pitts is going to be presenting the award.
Mrs. Nancy Claffey get a reward. She did a good job many years. And stuff. She did a good job at Memorial Center. She did a good job, and thank you.
Individuals are, even though they may not be able to articulate it as clearly as you might be able to, or I, the individuals who benefit from these caregivers are so incredibly grateful and really do want to say thank you. And it was really heartwarming.
Well, thank you, Ralph, for the award, for the nice award you are giving me this morning. I really appreciate it. Just a minute, Ralph. That was my son, and he gave me the award.
My daughter attended Woodmont she started when she was 21, and she passed when she was 44. But she was very happy to go there. They treated her like family. There was so much love in that place, and that's why I nominated them today. Brenda and Sandra, when my daughter was killed, they were there for me like family from that day until now. We are very close. And when my daughter was alive, she loved going there. They treated her so wonderful. She was happy to go to Woodmont. And I want to tell any parent here who has a child at Woodmont, be glad that they're teaching your children, but mostly be glad in your heart that they really care about our children. Thank you. Her name was Charlene Robinson. When she was sick, she still wanted to go to be there, at Woodmont. So they were really good to her, and they showed so much love to her, and that's why I nominated them, because they love my daughter, and they love me, and they love those children that they work with. That's the main thing,
And again, those of you among us are helping those with intellectual and developmental disabilities achieve their dreams. And we've seen enormous, enormous progress. And I really am proud to be part of a community that embraces these principles.
And last but absolutely not least, we have a very important award to give to Robert Worth, who was nominated by Mrs. Amelia Thomas. Robert Worth is the owner of Diamond Transportation Services, Inc. He provides transportation services to persons with disabilities under the STAR or Metro Access program in Arlington. This award is going to be presented by Rusty Thomas and Bruce Weaver, assisted by Mrs. Amelia Thomas. Mr. Worth, will you please come forward?
It feels great. It felt really good to see the consumers, the clients that we provide the transportation to, in the crowd, and to get the award from two individuals, Bruce Fredericks and Rusty Thomas, who I've transported for over 20 years. And Mrs. Thomas and Mrs. Fredericks, for them to be there was exceptional. And it just was probably one of the highlights of my entire career that they were there today for me.
Diamond Transportation has been providing transportation to individuals who have developmental disabilities or physical disabilities or intellectual disabilities, and that is a very important element, because for somebody to be integrated into the community, they need to get to a job, they sometimes go to volunteer opportunities, they go to recreation opportunities, and we want them to be able to get around.
I met a gentleman who was disabled. His name was John Collins, John Duty Collins, and he's known throughout Arlington and Alexandria, and people who watch this will recognize the name. And John was involved in opening up the Independent Living Center of Northern Virginia, ECNV, which is down on Wilson Boulevard, and he convinced me to start providing transportation for people who were physically disabled in wheelchair-accessible vans. And that's how I got involved. He talked me into it. So I guess it's been 22 years now. A lot of the folks that are here today, I've known now for 22 years, so it's quite an honor to receive an award from them. And I'd also like to thank my staff. We have approximately 20 people who work on this project every day. We try to get to know each and every rider.
It is a very, very important service, and we love our partnerships. The county tries to treat our partners with the utmost professionalism.
It's just like a team. It's a whole team approach, and they treat you as a member of the team, not just a contractor. And this is just tremendous to see so many people and the support of the county board as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
including people with intellectual and developmental disabilities month. Whereas, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities such as Down syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, and others constitute one of America's latest group of citizens who have disabilities. And whereas the most effective method for improving the lives of these individuals are public awareness, understanding, and inclusion in the community. And whereas Arlington County recognizes those Arlington caregivers and advocates who have made substantial differences in the lives of persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And whereas Arlington County is committed to empowering and supporting persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities to achieve self-determined lifestyles through community-based living arrangements, employment, and other individualized support services. And whereas Arlington County is proud to recognize and support the efforts of all individuals and organizations which support persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities and maximizing their full potential. Now, therefore, I, Walter Tejada, Chairman of the Arlington County Board in Virginia, do hereby proclaim March 2008 as Including People with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Month in Arlington. And I urge all citizens, in recognition of the tremendous value and potential of children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, to dedicate themselves to empowering and including these citizens in all aspects of community life all year long. And we proudly sign the proclamation today. Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of NewsMakers on AVN, Arlington Virginia Network. Join us again on March 26th for an all-new episode.